Please welcome the Minister of Communications, Mr. Yunus Carrim.
Thank you very much, Peter. I'm told I've got 20 minutes. Now, I know, in a sense, I'm your boss, as it were, and it's a state-owned company, and there might be consequences if you don't let me speak for 20 minutes, but let's have it for 20 minutes, because what I'll do is put it on the website. And so for those of you who care to, you might catch it there. But let me say that in the first instance, welcome on behalf of our government, especially to our foreign guests here, in particular, obviously, Mr. Vin Cerf, the Vice President of Google, as I have it here, and Dr. Ndemo, who's the former ICT Permanent Secretary, as Peter explained, and other foreign visitors, if there are any. And let me acknowledge, too, our local leaders, not least, I gather the MEC from Gauteng might be here. If she rolls in, well, I've acknowledged her. And also Luke, of course, and Alexandra Fraser has just spoken. You know who she is. And Nati Maramko, publisher of Business Day and Big Tent, Johannesburg, and all of you, really. And let me say, too, I'm especially pleased to be here. I'm 8 weeks old, or young, rather, as you might have gathered, in this role. And speaking to an informed audience like this, I'm not sure what value I can bring beyond the symbolic. But it's certainly of value to me to be with you. In putting together this speech, I've had the opportunity to better understand the digital economy and its potential. So I've already benefited, and no doubt I will benefit even more as I hear the other speakers this morning. Now, consistent with the theme of this gathering, I'm going to speak, if you like, on a topic entitled More Actively Fulfilling the Potential of the Digital Economy in South Africa. Now, of course, the growth of the internet in South Africa is intimately linked to the growth of Google, as it is elsewhere in the world. Google has become part of our everyday lexicon, far beyond what its beginnings as a humble search engine suggested those many years ago. Today, in parts of our society, it is as familiar as Coca-Cola. ICTs have transformed our society in ways not imaginable just a few decades ago. All this has been made possible by the internet, for which we have to thank the hard work of Mr. Cerf and his colleague, Bob Khan. I'm sure they had no idea that their work would change the very nature of the society as it indeed has. From being a data network that connected individual computers with wires, to now connecting all manner of portable devices, from tablets to phones, the internet has evolved into a fundamental feature of the economy of most societies. The future is connected, and we in South Africa very much want to be part of this connected future. And we are taking more active steps towards this. Today, of course, the world finds itself in the midst of a major digital revolution. Just as the agricultural and industrial revolutions transform the very nature of our society, so too is the digital revolution changing the very fabric of our society. On average, radio broadcasters, I'm told, took 38 years to reach audiences of 50 million people. Television took 13 years. The internet took just 4 years. Today, as technology continues to change the way the world interacts, to be left out is to live in a separate world, another world. We'll either be swept aside by this revolution, or we can utilize our circumstances to further the growth and development of our country, as has been suggested by speakers before me. Google is, of course, at the forefront of the development of the digital global village and bringing us closer than ever before with features such as Google Translate and Google Earth. Of course, the impact of broader internet usage in the developing world in general, and in South Africa in particular, could be huge, from economic growth to promoting democratic change via social networking, as was seen with the Arab Spring, to combating disease by providing health information, and to educating through the internet. Only yesterday I saw a piece in the Times, the Daily Times, about a new digital pill that can monitor health. It's remarkable, these developments, by any standards, and that's an understatement, really, to use the word remarkable. Stunning, actually. ICTs and internet, of course, are powerful tools for social and economic growth, And this is particularly true for our economic climate. There's enormous potential for these technologies to foster innovation, particularly in developing countries. It is said, I think it's a World Bank study, that a 10% increase in high-speed internet connection can lead to an increase in economic growth of up to 1.38% for developing countries. While the world has endured an economic crisis since 2008, the ICT sector has in many senses continued to thrive, bringing original solutions to many challenges facing our societies. Tablets and smartphones are making desktop computers obsolete. The growth of the mobile internet is ensuring that everything digital can be accessed everywhere. In the commercial sector, new business models have been developed to take advantage of the internet and the efficiencies it offers, while whole new industries, including online banking and internet-based retail stores, have developed. Particularly promising for governments is the opportunity, of course, to deliver services to citizens. Already, the internet is now connecting other devices that we did not have communication capabilities, such as fridges and cars. The first wave of connectivity involved connecting businesses and homes with wired internet connections. The second wave, of course, was mobile user devices, laptops, smartphones, tablets, connecting to businesses and each other over wireless internet connectivity. Now we are in the third wave, as you know more than me, which is expected to connect hundreds of devices that previously didn't have such capabilities. It is the Internet of Things, as you call it, driven by the proliferation of networks and the decreasing cost of connection. This includes automobiles, airplanes, medical machinery, personal medical devices, windmills, environmental sensors, and natural gas extraction platforms. In all of this, the expansion of broadband, as well as the development of e-skills and the taking advantage of employment opportunities is crucial. The internet economy can reduce the gap between large and small businesses. Currently, in this country, about 410,000 SMEs, I'm told, have websites. The Internet Matters report by Worldwide Walks indicates that SMEs with an online presence are more likely to be more profitable than those without. Of those with a website, I'm told, 20% are strongly profitable, while only 11% of those without a website are. It is said that SMEs account for 7.8 million jobs in this country. So it's suggested, therefore, that 1.56 million jobs would be in jeopardy were it not for their online presence. It seems certain that data transmission speeds will increase phenomenally globally. According to Akamai Technologies, if the correct pronunciation is there, the average global data transmission speed in late 2009 was 1.7 megabytes per second. Compare that to the record for data transmission speed by Bell Labs, 100 petabytes per second. That's equivalent to 100 billion megabytes per second. At that speed, I'm told, you could transmit 400 DVDs worth of data every second. As time passes, the cost of producing ultra-high-speed networks will decrease. Eventually, the average consumer will be able to download a high-definition movie in a second or play cloud-based video games without a hint of delay or lag. Of course, while this may be a reality for many of us sitting here today, they're not the reality for all South Africans. And that is the challenge for us today. It's a challenge that all of us, government, business, and civil society, have to address. The growth of the digital economy in South Africa is significant, as you heard from Alexandra, even if it doesn't benefit people equitably. Currently, it stands up at approximately 59 billion, or 2% of South Africa's GDP. Agriculture, interestingly, contributes 2.1% to our GDP, which conveys a sense of how important the digital economy has become. E-commerce is growing, as I said earlier. I'm glad the figures I've got you tally with what Alexandra said, because these figures come obviously from speaking notes I was given, and often I don't trust them. So the people who are here, I must say, I'm impressed for once. I won't have anecdotes about how much I've challenged statistics over the last 8 weeks, and time's fast running out. Peter, will you, 3 minutes before, just signal to me in some way? I will politely ignore you. Oh, we've got 12 minutes. Oh, I got lots of time then. I will come back to that. Let's see how it goes. I'm halfway through and I've got 12 minutes left. Ah, that's wonderful. ICT again at work. In South Africa, I thought if I looked at that, I'll be staring at my own face. So I see which is what happens in government. This is a better system, Sipokazi, because we like looking there for other reasons other than the time that we've allocated. But let me say that, look, it's great when one considers this expansion that more people are coming online as a result of the increase in the use of smartphones. In South Africa, as broadband becomes more prevalent and TVs gain more intelligence, the switch from analog to digital TV broadcasting will create significant opportunities for creativity and innovation. TVs are already capable of connecting to the internet. Jobs in the ICT industry will open up for young people, and the internet will be the starting point on this path forward. But these opportunities must benefit the poor and disadvantaged fairly. We have to guard against the country's existing socioeconomic divides being reinforced through technology between those who are connected and those who are not. This has come a long way, Peter, from my days in the 70s, when we thought the struggle was around those who belong to one class and those who belong to another. It's now become those who are connected and those who are not connected, even though there are class dimensions to it. But here we are. Significant sections of our society are far beyond those who benefit most from ICT. Socioeconomic circumstances, education imbalances, as well as language barriers are some of the factors in this exclusion. In remote areas that are often sparsely populated and located in difficult geographical environments, telecoms infrastructure is usually underdeveloped because providing telecom services in such areas means low returns on investment for service providers. We need to harness the potential of ICT to reduce, not increase the divides of our country. That's essentially our challenge. So where are we in this country in responding to the digital economy and society? We have, we believe, made some progress, but not enough. We are lagging behind our peers at present. We are clear that we have to do more. We're about 8 months away from the elections and have reviewed our strategy and program as a Department of Communications. And you can find this on our website. But very briefly, our strategy comprises of 6 interrelated aspects. Firstly, to locate ICT within the National Development Plan, National Growth Path, and the broad policies of the majority party as decided at the Mangaung 2012 conference. Second, it's to stabilize the department, make it more efficient, effective, reinvigorated, fill in the critical posts. Posts will be advertised from this Sunday onwards for 3 DDGs and CFOs, if any of you are interested. Thirdly, a less fragmented and fractious environment. Of course, there's market forces at stake, profits, but surely we can be in the national interest, national economic interest, not least, be less fractious and divided. 4, realistic and realizable goals in our program between now and April, May next year when the elections take place. Fifthly, choosing these goals very strategically so that whatever we do between now and April sets the framework for a firmer, stronger foundation for delivery over the next 5 years. And finally, finalizing the ICT policy review. So that's our strategy. What's our program? Well, there are several aspects of it. You can find it on our website, but essentially it's around delivering on broadband, ensuring spectrum's available, and fast-tracking digital migration. So the first of 8 things I want to say, and they're interrelated, most of them, broadband policy and strategy by the end of November if all goes well. Today we meet at 4 o'clock, right? We meet again tomorrow at 3:30. We have a new version by next week. Take it to the academic experts we want to take it to. By next Friday, start conferring with the relevant ministers, economic development, public enterprises, trade and industry. Let's see if we can deliver by the end of November. And that's what we mean to do. Secondly, an effective spectrum policy related to broadband, of course, but the officials tell me we can't do it before March 2014. We're bringing experts together in 14 days on the one side. We have the department officials tell us why they can't do it, the experts why they can do it before March. Let the politicians, the deputy minister and myself decide. Thirdly, begin the rollout of digital migration. Yes, government is responsible in good measure for the delays. We agree. But now we want to move. And so Where are we? You know what? We're ready to move. What is holding us up are the key private sector stakeholders in the sphere and the broadcasters. There's an impasse over whether the set-top boxes should have a control capability or not. So we're bringing them all together, if all goes well, sometime in September, mid-September, under an independent facilitation process to see if we can secure consensus. At the very least, if we don't get consensus, we'll know exactly where they agree and disagree and what the options are for government. Greater focus, obviously, on the rural and underserviced areas. 788 more schools connected by the end of the financial year. If we succeed in our negotiations with the mobile operators, we can have more than that, and we're negotiating with them at the moment. The post office tells us they can deliver 50 more post offices. We have to put some pressure on them. Sipokasi, just remind me, because we're talking more and more about this. Let's see what progress has been in the 3 weeks we've seen them. Further cost reduction in communications. How can it be, we ask, that our telecom operators are able to offer cheaper prices in other African countries than they do here? Notwithstanding the difficulties of the government and infrastructure, hey, it's just not credible. I read the other day, Vince, that you'll know more about Sri Lanka, for 3 gigabytes, $3 for a month. That's like another world, yet they're a developing society. So we think that the more people are online, the more successful our e-commerce ventures will be. We're liaising with the regulator, ICASA, on mobile termination rates. We have to sensibly and sensitively move to create a foundation for further reduction in costs of communication. The needs of the users and the service providers will be taken into account. A new policy directive and transparent pricing policy will be finalized by the end of September. By the end of September, we also hope to have, without undermining ICASA, a pricing policy workshop in the department with the key stakeholders. Greater stability, sixthly, for the state-owned entities, particularly SABC, but the post office. A new role for the post office, a clearer role in this internet age. What does post office do in a developing society? Any of you got ideas on that? Can you please email to Siphokazi, SIPHOKAZIS, @doc.gov.za, or Craig at the same email address. What does the post office do elsewhere, and what do you think it should do in South Africa? ICT policy review, as I said, green paper will be done by end of November if possible. A national ICT policy forum will follow, bringing the president, hopefully, to launch it, bringing industry, civil society, and government together to oversee that implementation process of the green paper, leading to possibly a white paper before the elections, but certainly soon after that, and then a new regulatory environment. Alexandra spoke about the need for changes, right? We're also wanting more coordinated effort towards rolling out e-skills. We're merging the relevant institutions. I'll skip that. I'm running out of time. I say got 3 minutes, 12 seconds. Google, of course, it's doing its bit, and we express our appreciation. It's helping to reduce some of the divides in our country. Google is now available in Afrikaans, Sesotho, isiZulu, isiXhosa, Setswana, and Northern Sotho. Google Translate also helps those of us who are not so familiar with the languages to breach the language barrier. Hands up those of us, not least myself, who've taken advantage of that. Google is actively working with governments and local authorities, we're pleased to say, in countries across Africa to link up the internet. Google and other partners include the Meraka Institute, and they launched a TV White Spaces broadband trial in Cape Town in March 2013, and the results show that technology holds huge possibilities for South Africa in terms of providing internet connectivity in rural areas. Google is partnering with Vodacom, Lead South Africa, and our Department of Trade and Industry on the Woza online project. It's now connected 45,000 small and medium enterprises to the internet to free websites. Ooh, that's intimidating, by the way. This has been given them an online presence, leading to an increase in revenue. It's through initiatives such as this we can take the country forward. Government recognizes the potential of the digital economy, especially for a developing country like ours. While other countries may have overtaken us in terms of ICT rollout, our enviable infrastructure means that we have the ability to ensure that more citizens, the broader infrastructure is what I talk about, play a greater role in the digital economy. This cooperation is something we can build on, and I call on all of us to cooperate. I want to end on this note. One of the most significant developments concerning the internet and knowledge building occurred when South Africa was awarded the right to host the Square Kilometre Array as part of a consortium of African countries and, of course, Australia. Pilot work has already started at the identified sites of technologies that will constitute the SKA and are being tested. This is a new approach that will require the development of human resources and capabilities that we have never had as a country because of the level of complexity of this project. It will require higher technological and technical skills, deployment of communication and internet infrastructure like never before. This technology will capture, transport, and store the data that will emanate from the universe, actually, as you know. It's likely that the volume of data expected to flow from the SKA will be more than the traffic currently experienced in all South African networks. Okay, I'll make it. The term cognitive surplus was popularized by the US writer, teacher, and consultant Clay Shirky to describe the creativity and knowledge that the internet makes available to the public. As such, the government recognizes the role of internet both as a stimulus for learning and a creator for development. We also acknowledge its potential in improving the quality of all citizens. Let me conclude my 39 seconds to say, what are we saying essentially? It has huge potential, as most of you know more than me, to reduce the divides in this country. We have amongst the highest social... It's stuck at 39 seconds. What does that mean?
We're giving you more time.
No, fine, let me go. I'll just say on this note, look, what we are saying is, essentially, you got the square kilometer array, and then you got people who may have access to a cheap cell phone, but look at the divides. We have amongst the worst social income inequalities in the world. Now, the digital revolution can contribute to exacerbating that on the one hand. But on the other hand, it's got huge potential to reduce those divides and fulfill the enormous promise of this national democratic transition, as we call it, as a majority party. And everything that icon of the 20th and 21st century represents, Nelson Mandela. So, in short, we owe it to this country, we owe it to that icon, we owe it to the world to deliver on our promises before 1994, and let's use the internet revolution to do so. Thank you very much.
Minister, can I ask you to join us on the couch over here? We'll plonk you down here.
Yeah, I'll just get my water.
Okay. Well, there's loads more here. We're never going to run out today, I promise you. Ladies and gentlemen, a big hand for the Minister of Communications, Yunus Carrim.
Thank you.
And we're very, I think, excited by some of the things that you said. And absolutely, there's progress being made, but a lot still to be done. You've acknowledged that and gave us a view of some of the changes that the internet and the digital economy is playing, not just in helping government deliver, but also impact in business, SMMEs you talked about. But I guess also really what's most important is access to all in society and reducing those divides.
Yeah.
And we're very excited, actually, about the timeline that you've given us about some of the policies and the plans and strategies that you have in play. So we're just looking forward to Sipho. Where's Sipho? We're going to meet this
Sipho Kazi, who gets
Sipho.
mentioned all over the world. Sipho Kazi.
There's Sipho. Sipho, I think your inbox is going to be full like you can't believe, but we certainly are grateful for that.
Yeah.
Now, Minister, one of the things that we did, because people knew that this event was happening,
Yes.
Business Day, we invited readers to pose questions to you, and we've got 4 questions that sort of broadly represent some of the thinking out there, and if I could just put those questions through to you.
Yeah.
The first one is from somebody called Mzansi Girl. She's in Johannesburg and says, how is South Africa's education system preparing the youth for careers in the digital economy, particularly for careers that don't even exist yet?
Yes, well, firstly, if you look at the the Basic Education White Paper, it spoke of the need to use ICT to advance education in respect also of not just learners, but also the teachers, right? And also the administration in a school to reduce the time you spend, obviously, with administration, making more of time available for actually teaching and learning. We are, of course, obviously, with the Department of Basic Education, rolling out schools, as I said, 788 more in this financial year, the part of the financial year that remains. We've started training teachers in Gauteng, this very province. I think it's 2,200 tablets that are going to be issued, providing free connectivity, 3G and Wi-Fi. No, it's 2,200 schools, 8,800 tablets, as I remember. And we can do more. We have engaged with the mobile operators, Telcom as well, Neotel, on the need to engage more with us to roll out e-connectivity to schools. But yes, we can do more, and we mean to do more.
All right. Byte GPs in Johannesburg and said, should government not lead by example when it comes to technology and innovation? Home Affairs, licensing offices, etc., could be a little bit more efficient and more automated through technology. Would this not show government's commitment to improving using
Very
technology?
fair question, and right. We should do more here again, but things have begun to improve. Home Affairs in particular. I think the South Africans know how challenged it was. It's not perfect by any means, but it's made significant advances through ICT. For example, now, obviously, as part of the elite, I don't apply for a passport in a queue, but I hear from my friends, not least my sister, who is very critical of the government, though she votes for us, that, hey, she was stunned. And people do SMS me, and they phone me and say, hey, look, I see on my cell phone, this is where the process of my passport and so on. Somebody told me they got a passport within 14 days, not so long ago, which was unheard of before. IDs as well. So there is that. We need to do more. We can help ourselves to do more by ensuring the things that we said on behalf of government this morning are actually delivered on. In other words, if we had more broadband and more spectrum available and digital migration, the opportunities will actually expand for government actually doing more. Can I ask the young man, if he's young, I don't know, but I think it's young, or anybody here, to actually put pressure on government. Right. Civil society needs to be organized also, to put pressure on government in various ways to get these things done. I'm not implying flood Pussy Pokazi's email box. I'm saying in other ways, you should take to the streets as well to put pressure on us to deliver on these ICT goals, which are basically crucial to our economic growth, development, and job creation targets. Peter, intervene if I'm answering for too long. I'm not sure how much of time you've allocated.
We want full answers.
Well, to talk to a politician like that, say full answers. so that you're inviting the unleashing of a torrent of words.
It's so that we can have these opportunities.
Okay, all right. You cut me short when you want to. You cut me short when you want to.
All right. We've got one from Mangi, who's in Johannesburg, but says, as a youth from Venda, nothing is being done to encourage innovation. South Africa has so many socio-economic challenges. How can we get as many young South Africans, especially the majority, to start becoming problem solvers using technology? I think
you see, she's the sort of person who should hold us to account for what I've said here. Because my theme was around particularly people marginalized in the rural areas. I mean, Venda is generally a poor part of our country. Look, we do have programs. I think our difficulty, as with government generally, which emphasizes the need for ICT savviness, is we don't communicate enough of what we actually do. I think we're doing certainly far more than is made out in the public discourse, even if less than we should and are capable of. But we certainly are doing more. Look, in our own department, I discovered very recently, mind you, having been there for a while, but only very recently, that we have got an e-cater program. What we do is we take young people between the ages of 18 and 30, process them through a program. I think if I recall, it's called the ICDL, International Computer Driving Learner Program. And some of you may know more, most of you will know more about this than I do, but what we're doing is we take them to the FET college, but we also give them life orientation programs. And the idea is that once they've gone through the process, the mill as it were, they're attached to public institutions, municipalities, clinics, schools, even the FET colleges. We also have for women a MobiNet program, which is directed particularly to the concerns of women, young girls actually, and also their vulnerability in a society where boys and men generally have dominant power, and their vulnerability to abuse and so on, and how they can connect with each other and share experiences and learn from it. There's yet another program whose title escapes me. We do these wonderful titles. Where's the substance, right? But here there is some substance. I've been challenging the department. But now that question has come up, Sipokazi, can we do a bit more there? I will ask the department within 2 weeks, Sipo, to come back to explain how many people have been processed through that, what we can do. And can I stress, by the way, I wanted to say this in my speech, but I ran out of it, time, is to say, look, on that program, we are going to do everything as government to deliver. But we have our limitations. We would like other people, not just to come to meetings like this, speak their minds, and then fade away. This is meant to be a democracy where citizens are meant to be active. People here have far more skills than the collective skills I have in the department there, or certainly I have, or the deputy minister has. So, without flooding us, we can't reply to everybody. Already it's happened. We did an interview with, interactive thing at CPE on Monday, and they've put our website on, the Sipokazi's details there. I went to Virashni Pillai's Mail and Guardian hangout. Everybody, 4 of them, Craig, Kolisa, all there. So please understand, we will be selective, we will note you. Sipo, just note everybody, and we act on it. So in short, help us to help yourself via government. You don't have to like us to do that. Don't have to like us. Don't have to vote for us even. This is your country. You're here to stay, and for your grandchildren's future.
All right. Last question is from Lizelle,
Yeah.
and who says, how will we be able to harness the full potential of the internet and the freedoms it offers in the face of the new privacy law proposed for South Africa?
Yeah. Firstly, the privacy law has not been promulgated yet, not been signed off by the president. From what I gather, some or other of the opposition parties are going to take it to the Constitutional Court. From what I know, this bill has been substantially improved to meet the needs of a wide range of civil society and other concerned parties who were opposed to it. But even though it's gone quite far from what it originally was, and even though it was staggered through Parliament over an 18-month or so period, there are people who are still uneasy, unhappy. It is their right to go to the Constitutional Court. No law in our country can actually undermine the Constitution. However, what I want to make clear is that every country in the world, as I know it, well, let me qualify that, almost all countries in the world, I'm sure even the most open democratic societies like Sweden used to be and maybe still is, or Switzerland, has got some or other form of a protection of information bill, state protection. That's not the issue. The issue is the content of that bill. Now, we are lucky to have this wonderful constitution admired the world over. And we have a constitutional court that can supersede Parliament in a case where legislation is passed that undermines what the Constitution says. Myself, from my sense of the bill, I'm not an expert on it. If I'd known you were going to ask this, maybe I would have read up a bit more on that bill. But my sense is that, look, what is in the bill is substantially relevant to our democracy. There may be parts of it that might be up for review. That is for the courts to decide and other processes. Moreover, even if the court even the court decides that the bill is constitutionally sound, this is a vibrant, thriving democracy, as the South Africans here know. I'm sure civil society will challenge government at every turn. So it's how the bill, when it becomes an act, is implemented, pans out, that counts rather more than the words on a print, in print. So in short, there is no reason why we cannot do all the things said here and others will say here this morning while that act is there. And it'll be a very foolhardy government of this country or any country that would stifle and stymie the unraveling of ICT to serve its growth, development, and job creation targets. It's the youth in particular that are unemployed in this country. Close to the figures differ on how 28% to 36% of the people unemployed. It's disproportionately youth. And this is a sector that creates jobs for the youth. So the majority party wants to lock youth in, contain them, if for no other reason than that there's another organization emerging that's resonating with those youth by its populist claims. They can't do those things, presumably. But hey, with the unemployed and disgruntled and aggrieved, if you say to them jobs for all, nationalized without compensation, people. So in short, we really don't think at this stage there's any reason to be concerned, but it's a legitimate question to ask.
Okay, right. Now, so those are the questions from the Business Day readers. I'm going to add one quick one, and you can answer very briefly, because I think a lot of people are very excited with the energy that you're bringing to the department and setting timelines. That's also a very good sign. So can we beg that you speak to the President and say, please, Mr. President, can I stay in my job for a reasonable length of time?
That's a good one.
So that we can get these things done.
No.
I think
Look, firstly, I would like to caution. Can I just caution, Peter? This keeps coming up. It's not going to help me because some of the industry players and opposition parties, like an opposition party member said in Parliament, Minister, I don't know if it's parliamentary, but you're cool. And really, that doesn't help me to get re-elected, all right, in my party. That's a facetious note. But what I want to say very quickly, Peter, it's interesting, all of you keep raising it. I had a technology online guy, well, I'm just to mention that. In short, let me just say this. Firstly, I've been in Parliament since '94. I have no culture of entitlement, okay? There's a new generation emerging, people like myself have to make way. Secondly, it doesn't matter who comes in. What matters is what we do between now and April next year. What the Deputy Minister Stella Ndabeni, Abrams, and I are seeking to do is set a reasonably firm framework within which whoever comes in will have to function and operate and deliver programs and targets on. Although that person will have latitude. Fourthly, I like to suggest, this thing is an exaggerated sense, like I'm some sort of knight in shining armor coming to rescue it. Well, I barely know how to switch my cell phone on, if I have to be honest. But the fact of the matter is, that actually, I am collectively accountable for where the Department of Communications is, both its strengths and weaknesses. I'm part of the same collective government. I was then the Deputy Minister of Cooperative Governance, the same majority party, the same struggle of which I've been a part of 40 years. So I don't think people should counterpose me to my predecessors. Moreover, some of my predecessors were very powerful people. They carried far more political clout in the movement and in civil society than I do. So I don't want that to be sort of like personalizing it.
Sure.
And moreover, what we keep saying is that not a minister alone, not a deputy minister and a minister alone, all of us. So I'm happy to come to your forums and answer for these things. In fact, what I've suggested to the department is that every 6 weeks or so we put what we've achieved and not achieved and why. I will also, if you want, come to your SABC or wherever you want to come to answer for these things. But if we don't achieve those things, in some measure or other, I suspect because people here with all their skills are not bringing them to bear.
Sure.
But in short, I don't think the greater concern is not who gets there. The greater concern is what we do between now and April.
That's fantastic to hear, but you will stay there.
Oh, well, I hope the president's watching this program, having said all of that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the Minister
from
of
St. Petersburg or wherever he is,
Communications in South Africa, Yunus Carrim.
Thank you.
Minister, thank you very much indeed. Thank you so much.